The oral cavity is composed of several structures, such as the tongue, salivary glands, hard and soft palate, the cheeks, and the 32 teeth, which are 8 incisors, 4 canines, 8 premolars, and 12 molars.
Digestion begins in the oral cavity, where the aforementioned structures work together to break down food into small pieces that can be swallowed.
The movement of the jaw allows the teeth to bring the food. The saliva secreted by the glands contains enzymes such as amylase and lipase that can react with the food molecules to create an environment conducive to begin chemical digestion of the food.
The tongue manipulates the chewed food into a small mass and directs it into the oropharynx, through the epiglottis, and into the esophagus. The esophagus is a collapsible tube about 25 centimeters long, located behind the trachea. Physiologically, secretes mucus, and its activity is to transport food to the stomach. It does not produce enzymes or perform absorption.
Swallowing is the mechanism by which the bolus passes from the oral cavity into the esophagus. It consists of 3 phases. The first occurs voluntary. The bolus passes from the oropharynx to the pharynx.
At this point begins the second phase, which will be the involuntary passage of the bolus into the esophagus. Finally, the third phase consists of the involuntary passage of the bolus through the esophagus to enter the stomach.
The stomach is a muscular sac located in the upper abdomen between the esophagus and the small intestine. It is a J-shaped organ. The stomach is divided into 4 parts: the cardia, and the fundus, the body, and the pylorus. And the musculars of the stomach include the longitudinal and the circular and the oblique, which allows the stomach to churn food, and the stomach wall also includes the rugae and folds that allow the stomach to expand when it's necessary. The stomach is responsible for breaking down and food into a front and can be absorbed by the small intestine. This is achieved through the combination of mechanical and chemical digestion. The stomach churns food with its muscular walls, which mixes in with stomach acid and digestive enzymes. Stomach acid is primarily composed of hydrochloric acid, and which serves to break down food and kill bacteria that may be present. The digestive enzymes produced by the stomach include pepsin, which break down the proteins, and lipase, which breaks down fats.
The ileum, longest segment of the small intestine that mainly occupies the umbilical, hypogastric, right iliac, and pelvic regions, measures approximately 3.5 meters long. The walls of the ileum are thinner and less vascularized than the jejunum. Few circular folds that gradually disappear. In the terminal part is the ileocecal valve that serves to prevent material reflux from the cecum. The omentum covers the anterior side of the ileum, and the mesentery fixes the ileum to the posterior abdominal wall. The jejunum, middle segment of the small intestine, occupies mainly the left umbilical region and is approximately 2.5 meters long. It extends as a series of folds from the duodenum to the ileum. The jejunum is distinguished by the ascending portion of the duodenum by the duodenal angle. The jejunum is thicker, more vascularized, and has a darker color than the ileum. It has circular folds and larger villi than the ileum. It is attached to the posterior abdominal wall by the mesentery, and the peritoneum allows for moving. The anterior is covered by the greater omentum.
The large intestine starts in the ileocecal valve and ends in the anus. It is 1.5 meters long and it has a diameter of 6.5 centimeters. The large intestine consists of 4 parts: cecum, colon, rectum, and anus. The cecum is just under the ileocecal valve and it has attached the appendix. The colon is divided in ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. The colon has 4 layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscular, and serous layer. The epithelium has two main kinds of cells: goblet cell and absorptive cells. These cells are located in large tubular glands. These glands are responsible for producing mucus and absorb water, transforming the chyme into stool. The muscular layer consists in a longitudinal outer layer and a circular inner layer. The longitudinal layer is thicked in 3 bands called tenia coli. There is walls with few or no smooth muscle called ostra. The tenia coli is responsible for a movement called mass movement, which takes the stool from the second half of the transverse column to the rectum, while the astra are responsible of segmentation movement, which press the chyme. The large intestine does not produce enzyme, just mucus, and the bacteria in the colon ferment the chyme and digest some remaining proteins, and some bacteria's products are absorbed by the colon, such as vitamin K.
The rectum extends from the sigmoid colon about 13 or to 15 centimeters from the anus at level of the third sacral vertebra. As we can see here, this is the sacrum, this is the 1, 2, 3 vertebra, and it continues the rectum continues here like this. Okay, to the perineal flexure, 3 centimeters from the skin and in front of the coccyx. As we can see here, this is the end. This is the end of the rectum, and the anal canal it's the final portion of the large intestine, beginning with the anal columns at the level of the anorectal junction and ending in the anus after a distance of 3 or 4 centimeters. This is the anorectal junction, we can see here, and this is 3 or 4 centimeters from the anus, as we can see here. The rectum constitutes the terminal part of the digestive system, which then continues with the anal canal, as I said before. The most dilated portion is called the rectal ampulla. It derives from the endodermal primitive intestine. The mucus of the rectum is similar to that the rest of the distal colon and has straight intestinal glands, has numerous goblet cells, which are specialized epithelial cells that produce mucus that act like a lubricant to ease the passage of feces. When the feces pass through the rectum, it expands its walls, and this increases the pressure, so it sends a signal through the mesenteric plexus. This signal is called intrinsic reflex of defecation, which is not sufficient for defecation itself and requires the help of the parasympathetic defecation reflex, which travels through the spinal cord and then returns to the sigmoid colon, rectum, and anus. These signals greatly increase the peristalsis and relax the internal anal sphincter, which helps for defecation. The upper portion of the anal canal has longitudinal folds called anal columns. The depressions between these columns are called anal sinuses. The anal canal is divided into 3 zones based on the characteristic of epithelial lining. The anal canal also has a gland which helps to the defecation and lubricates, and it's more easy to defecate.